You do not want to mess this up because you're going to regret it and you're going to spend a lot of money if you mess this one up. So today I want to talk to you guys about space planning. And space planning is one of the most important things in your construction before you get started. I'm going to go ahead and explain the proper steps for space planning and the requirements. But before I get to that, let me explain to you a little about space planning and what it is. What is space planning? Space planning is basically recreating the layout of your house. Maybe moving your kitchen, maybe adding bedrooms, maybe adding bathrooms. When does space planning starts? Basically, space planning has to start right after the homeowner is ready to move forward with the project. Right before you start doing the construction plans, right before you start hiring people, that's when the space planning comes. Now, the next common question is, who does the space planning? Typically, you could use a designer, you could use an architect, or you could use a general contractor. However, you gotta make sure that you hire the right person that has the ability and the experience to do a good space planning. Because if you hire the wrong person that doesn't have a vision, they're gonna create a space with that space not gonna flow correctly. You wanna make sure that this person has experience and creates good spaces. How long does space plans typically take? Space planning typically takes as long as you need it to take. We want to make sure that the layouts of the new space, it is perfect before we move to the next step. So it could take a month, it could take 2 months, it could take 3 months. There's no time limit for space planning. Whenever you are 100% sure that flow is perfect for your house. Now, let me speak to you guys about the space planning process and steps and what it takes. So step number 1 is going to the house and taking actual measurements of the entire house, where all the walls are, where all the windows, the right sizes, the right walls, the right height, because you really need to understand the existing floor plan. Once you take all the measurements, the person who's doing the space plan is going to go ahead and draw the existing plan so they can start modifying things. In addition to that, when you go to the house, you also want to determine which walls are bearing walls, which walls are concrete walls, which walls cannot be moved, or some walls could be removed. So all this information that you do in the space plan in the first meeting, it's very important to be able to come up with a new layout. You also want to identify where the electrical panel is, where the water, where the sewer is, where the connections is, because if you're going to be adding new bathrooms and stuff like that, all this information is very important to know before you create the new layouts. So step 2 in the space planning process is basically what the homeowner requirements are, like the wish list. What is it do they need? Like, you really need to understand what they want. So for example, let's assume that a homeowner has a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, but they want to go ahead and create an additional bedroom because they have a kid on the way, they have a baby on the way, they want to create an additional bathroom for the pool, for the cabana, they want to open up a wall, they want a laundry room. So you really have to do a list of what are the must-haves and then what's the wish list. Once you get all this information, then you go to step 3. Now you really have to understand the budget. It is really crucial to know the budget because based on the budget, we're gonna be able to offer and recommend what could be done within the budget. For example, if you're gonna go ahead and remove a wall, then that wall is gonna go ahead and create a scope of work. The scope of work gets generated by what's the work gonna do, what's gonna change. It is not the same thing to go into a house and remove cabinets and put cabinets back into the same place than it is to open up walls and relocate everything. Because when you relocate things, now the scope of work gets bigger. If the scope of work is bigger, guess what? The cost is always going to be bigger. So then we have to figure out within the budget what could be done and possible so that the homeowner gets exactly what they want within the right budget. As far as the major of the budget is going to go down to the scope of work to what they want to do. The other part of the budget that they have is going to go on what they're going to select, like the finishes, like the tiles. For example, you could purchase tiles for $2 per square feet, or you could purchase tiles for $10 per square feet. So by understanding what the client wants, what the client needs, we're able to basically create a layout. Number 1, the first layout, because from the layout, it's going to generate the whole scope of work throughout the project.